Hi everyone, welcome to EnergyLab's 2025 Scale-Up Program Showcase. Thanks for joining us. My name's Megan Fisher, I'm the CEO and Director at EnergyLab. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the various lands on which we are joining today. I'm on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians of this land, and I pay my respects to the elders, both past, present and emerging, and celebrate the diversity of Aboriginal peoples and their ongoing cultures and connections to the lands and the waters on which we live our lives every single day. If you're new to the EnergyLab community, a huge welcome to you. Thank you for joining us today. EnergyLab launched in 2017 with the mission to help decarbonise the planet by accelerating the growth of clean energy and climate tech startups. We connect founders and startups addressing the global climate crisis to the support they need to succeed. To help startups, we offer a series of programs that support founders from ideation through to global growth. Our programs are supported by our incredible network of over 450 mentors, 240 angel investors, and now we have over 270 startup alumni. We also work with institutional investors, industry, universities, and government. So let's kick off the Scale Up Program Showcase for 2025. We've got a pretty fast-paced hour ahead of us, showcasing some leading startup innovation from across the world that is supporting the renewable energy transition. And you'll hear from one of our industry partners about their support and engagement in this program. And then our Scale Up Program lead, Tom Kloosterman, will introduce each of the startups to share more about how their technologies are actually being used by industry. And we'll be covering things like forecasting, planning, new connections, grid digitisation, capacity, vegetation management, asset monitoring and management. So a lot to cover. The EnergyLab Scale-Up Program is designed to bring together leading Australian energy companies with clean energy startups from Australia and all over the world. For the startup cohort, the program is there to help accelerate business development in the Australian energy market, with industry connections, expert speakers and mentors. And now in its 6th year, the 50 startup alumni really are a showcase of innovation along the energy value chain. For our energy industry partners, the Scale Up Program offers a supportive and structured way to develop a current understanding of some of the most innovative technologies and business solutions being developed by the global clean energy startup ecosystem. This year, 9 companies have joined us. We've had Endeavour Energy, PowerLink, FRV, Transgrid, SA Power Networks, AEMO, GGG, and TEPCO Power Grid from Singapore and Japan, respectively. And we've also had ARENA, who support the program, but they also support EnergyLab through their Advancing Renewables program. I'd really like to thank the partners for their engagement. Supporting startups to help access industry, learn from and partner with industry is a really key focus for EnergyLab and a really important aspect of startup growth. I'd now like to welcome to the stage Melissa Duahy. Mel is the Head of Strategy and Innovation at Endeavour Energy. Mel leads the development of the Decarbonising the Grid 2035 strategy and also manages Endeavour Energy's innovation partnerships. Endeavour Energy's been supporting this program now for the last 5 years, and it's been an absolute pleasure working with the Endeavour team. Thanks for joining us, Mel.
Thank you. Thanks, Megan. Exciting to be here again.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have you here.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So we'll start up with a question. How's the Endeavour team been engaged with the Energy Scale-Up Program for 2025?
Yes, it's been a real co-design between EnergyLab and Endeavour Energy and across our business. So it doesn't just sit with me. In fact, I don't do most of the hard work. It's the subject matter experts that are on the ground working with the technology and the assets and looking for new ways of doing things. So started back in November last year, and we had those sessions with our business to really sort of pinpoint where those areas of focus are for Endeavour, and probably not dissimilar to other networks, but looking at things around veg management, efficiencies in terms of our operations, in terms of our field staff, SF6, areas like that we constantly sort of trying to grapple with. And then we kind of, if you think, we funnel it down, and then you bring to us, you do your global scan, which is fantastic, and you bring to us a cohort that you think we could work with. And the way that we bring this back to the business, we have this great pitch event, which we had, I think in, was it around April, May this year?
Yep.
And we had 9 startups from around the world pitch to our business, and there was probably about 60 or 70 people from across the business that attended. So it really creates great engagement, great vibe, great energy around this startup and the startup community and the possibilities of how they can help solve some of our most challenging problems. So from that, then we go back to the business and we start digging sort of further into those startups that pitched, and we're down to sort of 6, and probably today, really in deeper conversations with about 3. So, if you think we sort of funnel our way from a big sort of scam down to, what suits our business. So,
yeah, wonderful. Thanks for sharing that, Mel. And why is this important for Endeavour? How does it align with the strategy and some of the important things that Endeavour is working on?
Yeah, I think, God, there's so many reasons why it's important. And besides the fact that I think we don't have all the answers, networks can't, like, we're a very traditional, we're a very, for want of a better word, a heavy industry in terms of we don't move quickly. We don't, we have very kind of BAU core thinking. That's excellent, but sometimes we get very narrow in our thinking, and we're faced with more and more challenges, be that whatever we need to do in terms of reliability, resilience, redundancy, even efficiency. As our network, particularly for Endeavour, is growing, we've got to be able to build, can't just keep adding more network, we've got to do that efficiently. So we have to think outside of our own kind of square, if you like, and that's where startups can provide a lot of innovations, a lot of new thinking, and just different ways of working to solve some of our biggest challenges. And startups are nimble, they are fast paced, they are able to progress things probably a lot at a faster speed than what we can, which is what we need. So
so
so it's
true.
very complementary.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate the role that yourself and the Endeavour team are playing in the energy transition, but also working with early stage companies like startups. Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thanks,
Megan.
Mel.
And thanks to the EnergyLab team.
Oh, pleasure.
Gets better every year.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'd now like to pass to Tom Klusterman, who's our Scale-Up Program lead. Over to you, Tom.
Thank you, Megan and Mel, and thank you again to the team at Endeavour. Before I introduce you to the cohort, I would like to share some practicalities. As you probably see, we are running using Zoom webinar. If you're joining us live today, you can drag the slider located between the slides and presenters so that the presenters are a little easier to see. We will also be using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen to take questions during the showcase. Feel free to add your questions while the startups are presenting. Make sure to mention which startup you want to answer the question. You can also upvote questions from other attendees, and the founders will stick around to answer questions in the chat that we don't get to live. Now it's with great pleasure that we introduce the Scaleup Program cohort for 2025. The 2025 Scaleup Program cohort consists of startups from Australia, Europe, and the US, with technologies spanning monitoring, grid digitization, energy management, grid maintenance, and vegetation management. These startups represent leading innovative technologies across the energy sector and have been selected in consultation with a select group of industry partners. So let's start with our first startup. First up is Michel Tadani, co-founder and CEO of Rhizome. Rhizome is helping electric utilities assess and prevent climate-induced power grid failures. Currently in the US, but through our program, also in touch with utilities in Australia and New Zealand. Welcome, Mish. Over to you.
Thanks so much, Tom. Great to be with you here today. My name is Mish Sadani, co-founder and CEO at Rhizome. And as a result of this program, and while we've been doing it, we've also gotten introduced and will now start working with the New Zealand utility. So very proud of that. Just to get us started over here, over the last decade, extreme weather-related power outages have increased by almost 4 times. Now, much of this is due to the increasing frequency and intensity of extreme weather events that are driven by climate change. events such as wildfires and bushfires, heavy rains and storms, winds, and then rising floods and sea levels as well. And this creates quite a bit of complexity as a utility tries to understand where can we best reduce the impacts from these extreme weather hazards as they're changing, and what are the investments that are going to make the most sense in that location that helps reduce risk for the dollars going in to maintain affordability for ratepayers at the same time. Rhizome has a couple of products on a software platform, and primarily what we're attempting to do is work with asset planners and engineers at distribution and transmission utilities to assess the vulnerabilities all the way down to the asset level, but building up to the system level to give a picture of system risk, to optimize investments within our suite of tools, and then to ultimately justify capital and operational investments to regulators to really help come together on which investment plans are going to be the most affordable for ratepayers while also achieving the goals of the system. We have two major tools, Grid Adapt, which is leveraged for reliability and resilience planning and assessment of climate hazards that goes into an investment planning process, as well as Grid Firm, which assesses fire risks against utility assets and helps quantify the buy down of that risk as a utility is making investment decisions. We've been working with utilities across the US, as well as Canada and the UK, and as I mentioned, now coming to New Zealand, and we're looking to expanding further geographically as well. On the back end, we've built a state-of-the-art machine learning platform that combines utility system data, such as assets, outages, the topology of a system, with data that we bring to the table, weather, climate, vegetation, and fuels information. And then we also look at how utilities have been making investments along the way. And the entire objective is to get an accurate picture of a projected risk profile at either the asset level, the circuit level, or the system level. We then couple that machine learning model with climate projections that come from global climate models to understand how these risks at these resolutions will change. And then we ultimately model what's going to be the reduction in that future risk profile of various types of interventions that utilities are making, such as replacing aging assets, undergrounding lines, or hardening overhead lines. At the end of the day, we can run optimizations from this modeling platform, considering the values and the goals at the end of the day in terms of reduction of wildfire risk, improving reliability and resilience, and reducing O&M spend as well. When this software platform is in action, asset managers and engineers are using our tools to save time to create projects and run business cases across overhead system hardening projects. We've seen through our prediction a 98.5% additional outage reduction value by reprioritizing investments in locations that are going to make more of a difference. And then lastly, with our partner in National Grid, we've also been able to model wildfire risk against transmission and distribution assets, quantifying 35% of wildfire risk associated with only 1% of circuits, therefore really creating prioritize those investments. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to answering any questions.
Thank you, Mish. So I'm looking in the chat, and I've seen that we also open up the other chat, but I have a question myself. So I know that you will be, or at least your colleague will be at All Energy at the end of the month. So what are you looking for when you attend All Energy? What kind of contacts? How can people get in touch with you, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're looking to really expand our footprint in Australia, right? So additional, even just folks who have knowledge of the transmission and distribution utility sector in Australia, who can give us a little bit more insight into the regulatory policies and the drivers for how utilities are creating their investment plans. And then also, we'd love to share our demo and get feedback and make sure that we're evolving our product over time to fit the needs of the engineers as well. So really, we're looking for technical stakeholders who can really validate our approach and help us grow and progress over time.
Cool. Thanks. So I will definitely be there, and hopefully so many more people to witness your demo. Thank you very much. And we are
Thanks,
up
Tom.
for
Thanks,
our next speaker. So our second presentation is from Camille Alami from Advanced Infrastructure. And he will be telling us about their software that makes it easier for distribution network operators to plan local energy transitions and operate using low carbon power. Great to have you, Camille. It's all yours.
Thanks, Tom. Hi, everyone. I'm Camille from Advanced Infrastructure. We build spatial intelligence for utilities, helping networks plan, prioritize, and deliver the energy transition. Networks face rapid demand growth and electrification, tighter sustainability regulations, vulnerable infrastructure and constraints, and the pressure to do more, faster, with less. Our platform, Leap Plus, helps plan for demand growth accurately and often, meet regulatory requirements with auditable evidence, use capacity more efficiently, and improve customer experience of connections. We already support leading networks all over the world. These can be large and complex environments. For example, UKPN serves over 8 million customers, SSEN over 3.9 million, ESB serves the whole Ireland, and Alliander powers 3 million in the Netherlands. Today, 4 out of the 6 UK distribution network services providers use our tools across more than 250 cities. We have also expanded to Europe and Canada, with Leap Plus being able to be deployed anywhere in the world. That depth of operational use is what we are bringing to Australia. Our suite supports future load growth planning. Leap Plus sits alongside the connections portal, synthetic profiles and networks, future energy scenarios, and a nationwide building stock digital twin. We also maintain ready-to-deploy datasets that identify prime locations for renewables, heat, retrofit, and EV charging, updated regularly to cut planning time and risks. The Connections portal, for instance, enables self-serve assessments for developers and local councils, and lets operators quickly understand the network impact of new connections while providing instant quotes. The result is faster and clearer decisions and an overall better customer journey. Here is a real-world example of our impact. For UKPN, the Leap Plus customer planning portal supports around 1,000 users, aligns to regulatory needs, and is forecast to deliver £13.5 million in savings over 5 years. As UKPN's head of local net zero puts it, integrating local plans and intelligence continuously improves forecasts and builds fit-for-purpose networks that enable local decarbonization. We understand the tyranny of distance. Our roadmap for Australia focuses on local datasets, local partnerships, and time zone aligned support, so the platform reflects local realities from day one. If this resonates, I would love to connect with potential pilot partners here at EnergyLab. Please feel free to book a software demo so we can show you all of the amazing solutions we have to your problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Camille. I see that there are a lot of questions in the chat, so keep on coming. So I have a question for you. So currently you are working within the UK and the Netherlands. Can you tell me how hard it is to implement your platform service in a new market, as you're looking for Australia as a new market?
Of course, for us, there is no challenge. It usually depends on the country, but as long as we find the data that we need, which is generally available, we have already checked that it's available in Australia, New Zealand, and Asia as well. For Netherlands, for example, we had the equivalent of our data provider there, which made it very easy for us to build all the data sets and integrate it into our GIS platform. So we know that we can make it work, especially in Australia, New Zealand, and Asia.
Super. Thank you very much. And now we're going to our third speaker of today. So next up is Splite. Splite software-based technology makes sure that we can unlock the entire capacity of the grid. Carlos, Chief Product Officer of Splite, will explain why and how during his pitch. Please, Carlos, join the stage and start your presentation.
Hi, everyone. Very nice to meet you all. As Tom was mentioning, our objective in Splite is how to maximize the capacity of the transmission assets that we are using. And for that, we provide different software solutions that are always working in operation to increase the actual amount of energy going through the lines. That's kind of our niche, working with operations to increase transmission capacity. This kind of solution is something that we provide not only to utilities, but also to generators, data centers, everybody that needs to get connected to the grid, because that's how we see the problem. For us, the main issue or the main problem that we see is how we are connecting assets to the grid. We know that data centers are having huge amount of interconnection queues. Generators are having curtailment or interconnection queue, depending on the regulation, and we need the energy. Utilities are building, and that's amazing. I would never tell a utility to stop building assets, but it's always good to use what is already there the best way possible. So what we do is we go straight to the assets that are connected to the grid, especially assets that nowadays have the capability to respond extremely fast to things happening in the grid, is what we call this fast responding asset. Anything that is power electronic based can in milliseconds respond to anything happening in the grid. So this capability that is unique from these assets let us respond to events happening in the grid, contingencies, anything that is going to overload or produce a failure in the line in a very short period of time. When we integrate these to operation, we can monitor what is happening in the grid, monitor what is happening in each of the different elements, and see if there is any issue in the grid, and prevent any damage because these assets can respond. This is exactly how we are doing this for generators. And because now the assets that are connected that have this capability to respond fast are the ones that are able to handle the issue, the amount of capacity that they have available for them grows. One simple example is a 1n and n-1 case of a transmission system where we have 6 generators injecting the energy into the grid. We monitor the lines, we monitor the transformer, and we connect to the protections and to the PPCs of the generators, so we have a total capacity to control them if something happens, just if an event is going to damage the reliability of the system. And because now this asset can respond, we get extra energy in the grid. We start doing this with curtailment. That was our first use cases. Then we moved to interconnection of generations, and now we're working also with interconnection of transmission and loads. This is a solution that sounds amazing in paper, but I have to convince you that everything that I say in this presentation is true. So we have a very complex and long process to prove to utility system operator and generators that everything that we are doing makes sense. That the response time, I say 30, 100 milliseconds, 200 milliseconds, are actually the ones that you see in the field, and how this event is going to be impacting your planning, your reliability, and any other thing. So here is a little example of this process. The timing depends in how engaged and how we can do different things with utilities. Sometimes we can do this in 6 months. Sometimes the first one in a new region takes a year. So that's one of the challenges that we have. But we are happy to engage with utilities and generators that are suffering this kind of issues. Curtailment, that they want to interconnect more into the grid with this kind of solutions. We have experience working with these kind of solutions in Latin America, in Chile with high penetration of renewables, in the US where they have a more mesh grid with more different kinds of assets, and now in regions that they have a lot of smaller assets like Spain and Portugal. So thank you very much, and happy to answer any question.
Thank you, Carlos. So for the supply team, I see a question in the chat. For supply solution, does there need to be redundancy in the system for it to help divert power through the circuit?
That's a very good question, and that's one of the issues of the simple example. In this case, the redundancy shows very clearly in that topology, but in any topology, you are doing the same kind of assumptions. So it doesn't need to be a redundancy of 2 circuits. It can be a long line that you're injecting generation in the middle that can go north or south. Same case, you have to compute to a small element. So it applies to all kinds of topologies.
Thank you very much, Carlos. And now we are up for our next speaker. And our next speaker is the head of international partnerships of SENS, Dave Johnson. With SENS, utilities can engage and empower people, lower operating costs, and improve decision-making. Dave will tell you more about SENS in his pitch and will also be present at All Energy on the 30th of October. It's great to have you, Dave. Over to you.
Okay, thank you. Hi, I'm Dave Johnson. I'm head of Australia for SENS. We're based in the US, and we develop grid edge AI technologies. We're pioneers. We've been around in the energy AI space for several years. We're founded by data scientists from MIT, and today, we're proven in the US. The first utilities are rolling out Sense with their next generation smart meter rollouts occurring in the US. And currently, we're rolling out to millions of homes. And on the back of that, we're scaling to Australia, where the next generation meter refreshes are coming into market in the coming year. So we're working with progressive energy players, distribution network operators to plan for that and prepare for the new AI capabilities that are going to be unlocked. So Sense runs on Sense-capable next-generation smart meters, and then has usefulness first in the area of grid safety, grid visibility, and then behind the meter with customer engagement and flexibility. So I'll share some examples. When you take that, convert raw energy information into insights across each of the individual meters, when you accumulate that across your entire network, lots of use cases become unlocked. The first example is in grid safety, bushfire, risk prevention, early detection. There are several uses of this technology that have now been validated, proven, and shown to allow better prevention and earlier detection. Another example of uses of this AI technology is EV charging. And as L1 EV charging continues to grow, probably at a much faster rate than L2 EV charging, grappling with the impact on the network that causes. So with AI, we're able to see across all of those issues around EV charging and can capture that information that's currently invisible. A last example to share with you is how AI insights behind the meter can be converted into consumer insights that can be used as the foundation for energy efficiency, cost savings, flexibility. An example in the US where deploying the behind the meter flexibility engagement applications has resulted in significant savings in energy, peak demand reductions, and engagement by the customers. So thank you very much. Look forward to further discussions and at the upcoming All Energy Australia, where we'll be able to demonstrate some of these, and very happy to take questions.
Thank you, Dave, for your presentation. So I see another question from the audience. So for Sense, what has the response been like from Australian distribution and transmission providers? Do you have any current proof of concepts currently running?
So we have discussions with several DNSPs in Australia now, looking at, we sort of consider this the runway period before Sense-capable next-generation meters start becoming available in 2026. So it's not too early now to begin talking about pilots that validate key use cases here in Australia, both behind the meter and on the grid. So love to begin those discussions. It begins as general discussions. We can also pilot on devices that are designed as R&D monitors as well. We have 100 families in Melbourne right now that are using Sense in their homes, and they are very welcome to look at validating and piloting a variety of different use cases that we're unlocking with AI.
Cool. Thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you.
So now it's time for two startups with a focus on vegetation management. And first up, we have Bonita Lloyd from LiveEO. And LiveEO delivers AI-powered Earth observation insights that help organizations stay ahead of critical risks. And one of Bonita's colleagues will also attend All Energy and present LiveEO on Thursday, 30th of October. So Bonita, over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm hoping that you can all see my screen well at Livio. We're combining the power of satellite and remote sense data and AI to deliver actionable insights on your linear infrastructure. It has been so wonderful engaging with the community here and subject matter experts, which really has informed my presentation today. We have two products. I'm going to be focusing on our vegetation management product today, but we also have a change detection product that is part of our product group. Sorry, mouse problems here. There we go. Okay, so Livio in a nutshell, we're turning vegetation data into a risk intelligence system. We're helping organizations align with the principles of ISO 55001. So just let me explain that for a moment. We're taking remote sense data, whether that be LiDAR or satellite data, and we're able to then monitor your right-of-way, looking at fall-in risk, grow-in risk, and even looking at lead indicators like species identification. We're working with a distributor in Australia around that to inform their growth modelling. We're able to look at tree vitality and morbidity and hazard trees. So really starting to build a view of the risks on your network so that you can start moving towards a risk-informed or a condition-based approach and really aligning with that ISO 55001. Our application is an end-to-end solution, but having talked to subject matter experts in Australia now, we can see that we really need to meet organisations where they're at. So we want to really unpack the challenges that you have. But we can start with using the information that you have from your LiDAR program or using satellite information combined with your risk framework to identify risks on your network and give you a desktop view of that very quickly. We can then take those insights and automate and prioritize your vegetation management work that needs to be undertaken to, again, drive further efficiency. And then we end with an operational or an in-field tool that your crews can use and your contractors can use to undertake the work, to navigate towards the sites and really, you know, close that loop and create an audit trail for you. I would like to talk a little bit about the power of satellites, and we're seeing that with an organisation that we work with. We work with American Electric Power, and we are actually monitoring 40,000 miles of their network across 11 states. And they recently presented just a few weeks ago at the Trees and Utilities Conference, and they were able to present around the accuracy of the satellite information that they have from us. So here you can see that they're using satellite information, but we also have a comparison here between LiDAR. So LiDAR is very accurate information, but you can see now that satellite information is really, the imagery is now at the resolution of the decisions that needs to be made. So there's an opportunity to actually combine the power of LiDAR and satellite information to drive an incredibly powerful vegetation management program. And that brings me to the point of today. I really want to encourage transmission and distribution organisations across Australia and New Zealand to start optimising that remote sensing mix that you have and thinking about increasing the cadence of your data capture. So here we see that there's probably a sweet spot around 30% of LiDAR and 70% of satellite imagery. And that would represent a 3 to 8% reduction in your OPEX, field efficiency and allocation of work, starting to look at lead indicators to drive further efficiency in the future and really capturing the value of machine learning and AI. And all of this combined represents a really incredible AER step change efficiency opportunity for the sector. And that's it from me.
Thank you, Bonita. I see a question in the chat from Rick. So, Bonita, have you considered use cases around management of urban forests, street trees, and canopy by local councils?
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, it's a very interesting question. And I guess we see many applications for our vegetation management solution, heat island mapping, all sorts of things. And it really is about us engaging with subject matter experts about it and bringing our product team to the table to explore that as well. With every engagement that we have, we want to work in partnership to really drive the value and understand kind of the challenges that each organisation has. So, yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much. And we go into our next speaker, which will be Clay Rommel, the VP of Revenue at TreeSwift. And TreeSwift is pushing the frontier in robotics and machine learning to optimize large-scale vegetation management. Please, Clay, join the stage and tell us how.
Thanks, Tom. I'll kick in. So as you mentioned, we help out with large-scale vegetation and asset management for distributed transmission and distribution systems in space. The way that we do that is by deploying physical sensors in the course of existing patrols to capture a snapshot of all that vegetation, all those assets out when utility, TNSP, DNSP, its contractors are out there normally doing day-to-day work. Through the data we capture and process there, we enable a utility to seriously increase the efficiency across all of their existing field operations in vegetation and asset management by automating more menial tasks and enabling experts like senior arborists and asset inspectors to spend more time on the complex tasks that really drive value for the utility and save money and improve reliability. So mechanically how it works, again, those systems are deployed out in the course of an existing patrol. You can see a backpack mounted version on the left for foot patrols, and you can see a vehicle mounted version on the right for vehicle-based patrols or for using on the roof of a UTV or ATV, whatever platform you have out in the field. The data points that are getting captured as you go include LiDAR for physical position of vegetation and assets, video capturing imagery of all the surrounding area next to a circuit and giving you that Google Street View of the space, GPS to correctly tag the locations of every tree strand, every pole, all those assets, and then the addition of voice notes, which enable those seasoned experts like arborists, like asset inspectors to really give vocal diagnosis of key problems, which then gets transcribed and turned into voice and text notes that are tagged to that asset or tree. So the sum total of all of this raw data gets transferred through our AI stack, those algorithms and models, then process that out into something finalized analytics that can be used then to drive operational efficiencies, reduce O&M spending, and help prioritize the right work to improve reliability overall on the system. We've already got our partners using this across many parts of the United States to start for both blue sky and black sky applications. So you can see some of those, including vegetation management, new transmission construction, and bushfire risk reduction, obviously something that's relevant, in many different parts of the world. And then finally, on the asset side as well, in post-storm kind of black sky applications where their quick turnaround is really important, enabling faster inspection. So for the case studies on how we actually help out there, one example for time savings. So we've got some really critical patrols with a major partner in the Southeast US. We're able to help cut those inspections from 2 to 3 days to 2 hours using the technology because it saved time on mapping of the space and capturing of data. With PG&E, they have a massive bushfire hazard tree inspection program mandated by the state. They were able to improve the efficiency of that by more than an order of magnitude, which resulted in massive savings for their program. For storm response, we've been able to help utilities cut asset inspection times from 5 minutes per asset to just 30 seconds per asset, which enables them to cover more ground and improve time to re-energization. And then with transmission construction, we've enabled them to find issues during capital construction phases. So big slide, I won't bore you with it, but we run fast pilots, we turn them around quickly, and help the utility get a better idea. This is something that will work for them. Thanks.
Thank you, Clay. So a big topic nowadays is AI, and you talked about it as well in your pitch. But how do you see vegetation management evolving over the next 5 years with AI in the mix?
I think historically it's been a problem people have solved with bodies and money, and that's reflected in it being usually one of the biggest O&M line items for any utility. I think that's just because there were not other alternatives available. I think in Bonita's pitch prior and ours, you can see there's a lot of opportunities for more sensibly using technology to extend human capabilities. And by taking the busy work out of measuring things, of getting out a rangefinder to laser distances, to have to enter everything into a tablet, if you can take all those things out and abstract them to data capture methods that are more consistent and use AI to turn those into more usable outputs, the end result is you can do more with fewer people, which given the scale of risk and the expansion all these utilities are rolling through, that ends up being incredibly important. So that's kind of what we see at.
Thank you. Very clear. And now we are going to our next speaker. So our final three speakers actually, and they will talk about asset monitoring and maintenance. So the first speaker, the last three, will be Michael. He's the co-founder and CEO from Linebird. And he will talk about how Linebird's Osprey non-conductive payload system, or NPS, is able to do direct contact work on live power infrastructures. Please, Michael, show us how during your pitch.
Thanks very much, Tom, and thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure. It's been great working with the EnergyLab team this year and getting to know the Australian market. We see some very promising trends for us and fits there. So I'm Michael Barrow, founder and CEO of Linebird. We're here to elevate work on the grid and train and equip the workforce of the future. The problem we're solving for is just that it is extremely hard to work on power lines. It's one of the most demanding, hazardous occupations in the developed world, and it's even more acute in developing countries. But we just got a problem statement many years ago that there was a better way to do some of the things you see here. And we've broadened that to a better way to do many of the things that you see here and in other places. We see this as a root cause and access problem. Utilities need to access and work on their power lines. And this is something that's becoming a driving constraint in modern economies. There's not enough hands to do the work. You need workforce augmentation, expansion, extension, all of those things. And people are recognizing that it's a overlooked constraint in solving for climate solutions, not capital, but much more workforce now than it was before. So we're here to solve for that problem, and we're solving for that with non-conductive drone payloads that we provide to utilities and other contractors solving for power line access. These bolt on to off-the-shelf professional grade drones that can then leverage existing lineman tools. And with these, you can vastly accelerate and improve capital efficiency and acceleration of construction, maintenance, rebuild, repair, restoration projects in live operations without requiring a planned outage. And most importantly, with minimized risk to crew. You have boots on the ground, the controller in their hand, without people hundreds of feet in the air next to hundreds of thousands of volts. More people can get home to their families every day with that. It's patented in the US, Australia, and New Zealand, and pending in many other countries as well, with many technologies under our belts. The business model is a tools and equipment provider. Think drills and drill bits. So the Osprey NPS is what gets you there. It gets you to the work and what you need to do. The various end effectors can involve accelerating construction with moving material, live sensing applications, wire cutting and debris clearing, and many others as well. We're selling and leasing those solutions to utilities and their service providers. And we're doing those right now at first adopter margins. But once we prove value and validate that quantified value proposition, we're going to get to much more VC friendly margins. So get in while the getting's good, or wait till you see what we can do with the higher trends there. We see Australia as our major growth opportunity for us. There's forward-thinking energy and aviation cultures there. The path's been trod before with great drone technologies in the past. And we launched with a 2-week trade mission back in May across Australia and New Zealand. We had 12 meetings, and we're looking forward to doing a demo later this year. We have a host utility picked for that in New South Wales with Endeavour Energy. So thanks very much, Mel and the team, for that. We're looking forward to working with you all there. We've been Fortune 500 tested and approved. We've worked with EPRI, Free Electrons, EnergyLab, 35 Mules, and Xterra. We've been around, and we've got great partnerships with manufacturers, distributors, great grant funding, great patent portfolio, like I said. And we're also looking for partners to help us with gaining resources to pilot, validate, scale, demo and launch in Australia, expand our team, and expand our marketing. So thanks very much, and looking forward to your questions.
Thanks for your pitch, Michael. Sounds very promising. What would you say are the biggest barriers to adopting this drone-based maintenance at a larger scale?
So the barriers to scaling primarily revolve around the first thing you have to figure out are who's going to fly the drone and what drone is it. So is this going to be something internal personnel? Is it going to be contractors? Is it going to be a local flavor of drones, something imported. Many people care whether it's Chinese or not Chinese, especially back home where I am in the States. And then a bigger picture, it's about how do you operationalize it within your business. So what are the ramifications for this with reducing insurance liability or other places where it can affect your operations, the storm response, the ROI case for the many different use cases that we have available. So those are kind of the major hurdles and barriers we've overcome. And we find that engaging across multi-departmental stakeholders, bringing everyone that finds value from it is the best way to go about overcoming those.
Super. Thanks. I think we lost you visually the last couple of seconds, but we could hear you loud and clear. So now we are up for our next speaker. So the second speaker in this bracket is Laura Tolson, co-founder at Swivel. And Swivel is a self-service platform that makes private 360 site documentation effortless for utilities. By providing an easy way to create a private Google view, Street View style, Swivel reduces the need for physical site visits, improves collaboration, and enhances decision-making. Over to you, Laura.
Thanks, Tom. All right, let's get into it. 3 days of travel for a site visit or just 20 minutes online? What would you choose? So that's the difference Swivel makes. At one remote site, teams used to fly in just to understand layout and constraints, but now they log in, explore the site in 360 and make the same decisions in minutes. And it's not just for sites that already exist. Swivel is just as powerful for visualizing what's next, new substations, transmission corridors, or tracking how environments change over time. Energy projects depend on spatial awareness, but the tools that traditionally manage this data are often complex, they're siloed, and they're inaccessible to the wider team. So teams struggle with GIS systems, drone data, PDFs, photos, or they in the end have to travel there in person. It's slow, fragmented, and expensive, and only a handful of people can actually use the tools built to manage it all. Swivel is a web-based platform that turns 360 photos, 3D models, and maps into a single interactive environment anyone can access, so no GIS expertise required. You start with the map, you add your site data, 360 photos, plans, 3D models, drone imagery, etc. And then you share it with your team. No installs, no training, just a link. So it's like Google Street View, but it's private, secure, and built for industry using your data. As the grid expands and the energy transition accelerates, everyone's capturing more spatial data than ever, but few know how to use it well. Swivel provides a simple visual layer that turns that data into something anyone can access, understand, and then act on. And with today's off-the-shelf drones, 360 cameras, and even mobile phones, getting data onto the map has never been easier. We've already seen how powerful this is in adjacent industries. For BHP, what used to be a costly, time-intensive site visit can now be done in under 20 minutes online. It's captured once and shared hundreds of times across teams in multiple countries. We've worked with companies across mining, infrastructure, government, and events, and now we're ready to bring those same efficiencies to the energy sector. The real power of Swivel comes once your data is on the map. When everything's visualized and connected, it unlocks a new level of insight, and that's where we're heading next. The next evolution is AI-powered spatial intelligence. Soon, you'll be able to ask your data questions like, what's changed since our last drone capture? And get instant visual answers right on the map. We're ready to partner with energy companies who want a faster, easier way to see and share their sites and unlock what's possible when all their data is on the map. I'm Laura Tolson, co-founder of Swivel. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. That was very clear. I see a very practical question in the chat. So, can Swivel be integrated with SAP EAM platforms or incident management platforms?
Great question. One of our values really at the core of Swivel is interoperability. So whilst it currently doesn't work and sync in with those systems, what we're looking for is to partner with companies who want to integrate with those systems, because we see data currently quite siloed, and we really want to not be another system that silos more of your data. So we really want to be able to speak to all of those systems and bring data both in and out of Swivel.
Super, thank you very much. And now we're going to our last speaker of today. Let's see. So it's Thomas from Wingtra, and the Wingtra One drone carries sensors that collect survey-grade aerial data. It offers an all-in-one solution, broad coverage, brilliant resolution, and accuracy down to 1 centimeter. Thomas, please join us on stage.
Thank you very much, Tom. So I'm Thomas. Good morning. Head of sales for Wingtra for the Asia Pacific region, and really happy to be here today. So Wingtra's revolutionary approach combines vertical takeoff and landing with a fixed wing platform, which enables the most cost-effective solution for survey-grade aerial mapping. So across your entire asset lifecycle, Wingtra enables you to get the right aerial data when you need it. For example, digital surface models for planning, earthwork volumes for progress updates during construction, or high-resolution imagery for maintenance inspections. We are headquartered in Zurich, Switzerland, and with 125 global employees, we support over 1,200 customers, which are conducting over 2,000 flights every week. So Wingtra doesn't replace your inspection methods today. Instead, we complement and bridge a critical gap that is between efficient coverage and sufficient detail. So you will already be using satellites, but they have very broad coverage, but they have not enough detail. Helicopters and aircraft can do the job. They are precise, but at a very high cost, and you struggle with cloud cover and also airspace management. Of course, multi-rotor UAV is great for detail and close-up inspections, but also lack the coverage and range. And finally, terrestrial surveys are slow, super detailed, but also they lack the access and the speed of getting to the coverage. So here is where we feel Wingtra delivers the perfect balance for large-scale coverage with high precision and affordable price point. So how do we do that? Wingtra offers a complete mapping kit, starting from our decentralized cloud-based platform with the drone platform that offers multiple payloads for your different missions, and even survey equipment to complete a seamless workflow. The data from this capture can then be processed through our Wingtra AI platform, right? Which this can then get you the detections of what you're looking for, or it can be also compatible with a wide range of industry standard softwares. So here are some examples for the energy sector, including solar panel inspections, vegetation management for power lines, and ecological surveys of your offset properties. In summary, Wingtra is the leading aerial insights company for mapping and surveying applications. And together with our partner in Australia, CR Kennedy, we are looking forward to support the energy sector to transform the way you do aerial mappings and your workflows for faster, safer, and more cost-effective insights. So I look forward to connecting with you after this. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. So In this program, you talk with various utilities, but as Wingtra, you have quite a diverse customer segment. How would you say utilities are different customers compared to the other customer segments you serve with Wingtra?
Yes, thanks for that. Wingtra does serve a pretty broad range. As you can see, we have anything that requires survey-grade wide area mapping. We'll find a huge benefit with using Wingtra. And many of our other sectors like mining and agriculture and plantations, they require coverage of very big areas. And then when you go into utilities, the difference is more about how you use the solution, where you probably require long corridors of inspections rather than large areas at one point. So I think this would be a big contrast, both of which we can handle very well with our Wingtra Cloud planning platform. So we can discuss more examples in detail with whoever is interested.
Super. That was very clear. Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you, Tom.
So that was a whirlwind of leading tech in the energy industry and a great introduction to the startups in the Scaleup program for 2025. It's been an intense few months over the course of the program. We facilitated mentor introductions, case study presentations across industry and government, peer-to-peer sessions with our alumni NERA and InfraVision, pitch training, Ask Me Anything sessions with industry partners, mentor speed networking events, and importantly, we facilitated more than 45 discussions between our industry partners and the startups that just presented to explore the potential for working together. I would really like to thank the startup cohort for joining us today. I would like to thank Melissa from Endeavor Energy for her insights and to the EnergyLab team for their support. At EnergyLab, we are inspired by the groundbreaking nature of the technologies we have the opportunity to engage with, all of which have the opportunity to contribute to our journey to net zero. If you want to get in touch with the startups, you can leave your contact details in the chat or reply to my email, which I will share with you with a recording of the session in the coming weeks. Thank you all for joining us today and have a nice rest of your week. Goodbye.